The quantum storm devoured stars. Jake Sullivan had seconds to live, and he knew it. His reconnaissance craft screamed through space as tendrils of pure energy, each one capable of atomizing a battleship, clawed toward his hull. Every alarm in the cockpit shrieked the same message: turn back, turn back, turn back. He flew deeper into the storm. Suicide run, his commander had called it. Earth fleet needed intelligence on what lay beyond the quantum barriers. 20 pilots had volunteered. Jake was the only one crazy enough to actually go. The storm wasn't random. That was the secret his neural implant had discovered, processing patterns invisible to ordinary sensors. Beneath the chaos, something beckoned. Then his engines died. The ship plummeted through atmosphere thick with residual energy. Jake fought the controls as treetops, silver leaves glinting like knives, rushed up to meet him. The impact drove thought from his mind in a burst of metal and pain. He woke to amber eyes watching him like prey. She crouched on his shattered wing, blue skin gleaming like polished steel, dark stripes emphasizing every predatory curve. Cat-like ears swiveled toward him as his breathing changed. The energy blade at her hip hummed softly, its glow reflecting off her armor. Beautiful, deadly, form-fitting plates that promised violence wrapped in silk. You survived the storms. Her voice carried a purr that raised every hair on his body. Perfect English, wrapped in an accent like honey over razors. Jake tried to sit up. His ribs screamed protest. Lucky me. Luck. She dropped from the wing without sound. No one survives the quantum barriers. No one even tries. Yet here you are. More warriors emerged from the shadows between alien trees, feline, armed, waiting for her command. I am Vespera. This is my world. And you, human, are either the universe's greatest fool or something far more dangerous. Her smile revealed teeth designed for tearing flesh. Let's find out which.
The storm spire rose from the forest like frozen lightning. Dark stone walls pulsed with inner light, energy barriers harmonizing with the quantum storms overhead. Vespera led Jake through corridors that felt alive, her boots clicking against polished floors as guards bowed. Respect earned through blood, not birthright. The throne room stole his breath. Pillars carved from single stones supported darkness above. At its heart sat a throne that seemed grown rather than built, perfectly curved to fit the warrior queen who now studied him with calculation that made his pulse race. Tell me how you did it. Vespera leaned forward, amber eyes intense. The storms have protected this world for 3,000 years. Nothing survives them, until you. Jake met her gaze, refusing to look away despite every instinct screaming he was prey before an apex predator. The storms aren't chaos. They have patterns underneath. I just read them. Her tail lashed once behind the throne. You expect me to believe you saw order in the storm maze through human eyes? I'm a navigator. It's what I do. Jake kept his voice steady. Your people have been trapped here for millennia because you're trying to fight the storms instead of understanding them. The throne room fell deadly silent. Warriors shifted, hands drifting to weapons. No one spoke to their queen with such casual dismissal. Vespera rose in one fluid motion, moving close enough that her scent, midnight flowers and predator musk, made his head swim. Then prove it. Tonight, when the storms peak, you'll guide my ship through the barrier. Her claws traced his jawline, gentle and threatening. If you succeed, we discuss terms. If you fail, that smile again, all teeth and promise. Your death will at least be entertaining.
Night fell, and the storms came alive. Jake stood at the storm spire's highest window, watching quantum lightning tear across clouds that pulsed with alien fury. Beautiful, hypnotic, and underneath, that rhythm calling to something deep in his human mind. They fascinate you. He turned to find Vaspera watching from the doorway. She'd removed her armor, revealing a bodysuit that emphasized every dangerous curve. But it was her expression that stopped his heart. No longer the calculating queen, but a woman drawn by curiosity she couldn't quite hide. They fascinate you. He turned to find Vaspera watching from the doorway. She'd removed her armor, revealing a bodysuit that emphasized every dangerous curve. But it was her expression that stopped his heart. No longer the calculating queen, but a woman drawn by curiosity she couldn't quite hide. "They're like nothing on Earth," Jake said softly. "Quantum energy given form, but stable, controlled somehow." She moved beside him, close enough that her warmth pressed against his arm. "You speak of them as if they're alive, aren't they?" He watched her reflection in the glass. 3,000 years of perfect consistency. That's not random, Vaspera. That's intelligent design. Her pupils dilated at her name on his lips. "You're either brilliant or completely insane. Maybe both." The flight deck awaited. Vaspera settled into the pilot's seat of her sleek craft, all business again. "You'll navigate. I'll fly." Jake slipped into position beside her. "You're coming with me? If you die, I want to see it happen." Her smile was sharp. "If you succeed, I want to understand how." They lifted off in whisper-quiet silence. Vaspera brought them to the barrier's edge and hovered, waiting. Jake closed his eyes, reaching out to patterns only he could sense. There, a gap in the chaos, lasting maybe 30 seconds. "Port 15 degrees, pitch down 8, he murmured. "Now." Vaspera responded instantly, trusting his guidance without question. The ship slipped into the storm maze like thread through silk. Energy crackled around them, but Jake felt the safe passages, the momentary alignments where quantum fields welcomed rather than destroyed. "Starboard 20, hold steady." They danced through destruction, ship and storms moving in perfect harmony. Jake felt Vaspera's breathing change, her pulse quickening as she realized they weren't fighting the storms, they were joining with them. "How?" Wonder filled her voice. "I don't know. It feels like coming home." They burst through the outer edge into clear space. Stars wheeled overhead, brilliant and sharp. Vaspera brought the ship around in a lazy arc, both staring at the barrier that had imprisoned her world for millennia. "No one will believe this," she whispered. "Will you?" She turned, amber eyes bright with something between hunger and reverence. "I felt what happened in there. The storms responded to you, like they were waiting." When they touched down, warriors lined the flight deck, staring with expressions of awe and fear. Vaspera stood in the hatchway, addressing her people with absolute authority. "The human has done what we believed impossible." But Jake felt the shift. He was no longer just a trespasser. He was something far more dangerous. A game changer. The attack came at dawn. Jake woke to energy weapons discharging against the storm spire's shields. Through his window, ships broke through the barrier, dozens of them, moving in perfect formation. Cartel vessels, their hulls gleaming with predatory scales. His door exploded inward. Vaspera stood in smoking wreckage, fully armored, magnificent in her fury. Her energy blazed with lethal light. "They came for you." Her claws dug into his arm. 3 cartels. Someone sold us out. Another explosion rocked the fortress. "Move, now." They ran through smoke-filled corridors. Vaspera's warriors fought desperately at every junction, their weapons painting walls in brilliant death. Bodies littered their path, feline, reptilian, species Jake couldn't name. My queen, Colin, her lieutenant, appeared from a side passage, armor scorched, left arm hanging useless. Eastern wall breached, Vorax shock troops in the lower levels. Fall back to the throne room, Vospera commanded. Activate storm conduits. The throne room had become a fortress within a fortress. But Jake could see the truth in Vospera's eyes. They were losing. She grabbed his shoulders, claws pressing through his shirt. The ancient archives beneath the throne. There's something you need to see about the storms. Now, in the middle of, especially now. Her ears flattened as another explosion shook the fortress. If Vorax captures you, he'll use your abilities to break every storm barrier in the galaxy. Billions will die. Before Jake could respond, the main doors burst open. Reptilian shock troops poured through. Behind them came Vorax himself. 8 feet of muscle and armor, yellow eyes fixed on Jake with predatory hunger. "Surrender the human, cat," Vorax hissed. His talents belonged to a higher purpose than serving as your pet. Vospera stepped between them, blade raised. "The only thing you'll get from me is a warrior's death." The battle erupted with savage intensity. Vospera moved like liquid lightning, her blade carving through armor with contemptuous ease. But there were too many. Jake pressed his hand against the wall, feeling vibrations through the fortress's structure. The quantum energy called to him, stronger here than anywhere else. Without thinking, he placed his calm against a conduit. Power flooded through him. Suddenly, he could feel the entire network of storm systems buried beneath Tempest Prime. Not generators, control systems. The storms weren't natural phenomena. They were a prison. "The archives," Vospera shouted, cutting down 2 reptilians with a single stroke. "Go." Jake ran. The archives were vast, filled with crystalline data storage humming with information. At the chamber's center stood a holographic display that activated at his approach. What he saw changed everything. Earth. Not the Earth he knew, but Earth as it had been thousands of years ago when humanity first reached for the stars. The hologram showed human ships spreading across the galaxy. Human colonies on dozens of worlds. Then war. Weapons that could tear holes in space itself. Humanity scattered, colonies isolated, achievements forgotten. Tempest Prime had been one of those colonies. The quantum storms were terraforming technology, designed to create perfect environments for human settlement. But the war had damaged control systems, trapping colonist descendants behind barriers they couldn't understand. Until now. Jake's hands moved over the ancient interface. His human DNA unlocked systems that had waited millennia for the right genetic key. The storms weren't just responding to him, they were obeying him. A roar of rage echoed from above. Vospera was losing. Jake burst back into the throne room to find Vospera backed against her throne, surrounded by Vorax's forces. Her armor cracked, blood seeping from wounds that should have been fatal. "Surrender, human," Vorax called. "Come quietly, and I might let her live as my slave." Jake stepped into the center of the room, placing his hands on storm conduits built into the floor. "I have a better idea." Quantum energy responded to his will like an extension of his body. Lightning erupted from walls, discriminating between friend and enemy with surgical precision. Vorax's troops convulsed and dropped. But Vorax himself pressed forward, massive claws reaching for Jake's throat. Vospera intercepted him with a leap born of pure desperation. Her blade pierced his armor, sinking deep into his chest. But his claws found her throat, and they fell together in a tangle of blood and fury. "Vospera!" Jake's anguish fed the storm systems. The entire fortress shook as quantum energy surged through its structure. She pushed Vorax's corpse aside, struggling to her feet despite blood flowing from her wounds. "The control system," she gasped. "You found it." "I found more than that." He caught her as she swayed. "The storms, they're not alien technology. They're human." Understanding dawned in her amber eyes. "You're not just navigating them, you're controlling them." Above, the storm barrier pulsed with new patterns. Vorax's remaining ships fled in panic. But Jake knew this was just the beginning. Every power in the galaxy would come for him now. He pressed his hands against Vespera's wounds, feeling her life flowing out between his fingers. "Don't you dare die on me." Human sentiment. Her lips curved in what might have been a smile. "I told you weakness is death." "Then be strong. Live." His voice broke. "I need you." Her ears twitched at the raw honesty. "The medical bay, 3 levels down." Her claws caught his wrist. "But Jake, they'll keep coming. You've become the most valuable prize in the galaxy." He lifted her carefully, storm energy crackling around them both. "Let them come." 3 days later, the ultimatum came. Jake stood in the Storm Spire's command center, watching multiple fleet signatures converge on Tempest Prime. Earth Federation cruisers, alien cartels, natural enemies forming an alliance against them. Vespera joined him at the display, fully healed and enhanced by the ancient medical technology. Her movements were fluid perfection now, every sense sharp enough to track dust motes in still air. "Earth demands your return," she said softly. "They say I'm holding you hostage." Jake turned to face her. "Are you?" Her pupils dilated. "Am I?" He cupped her face, thumb tracing the elegant line of her cheekbone. "I fell into your world by accident, but I'm staying by choice." His voice dropped lower. "You claimed me, Vespera, body and soul. Let anyone who disputes that try to take me." The kiss was claiming, a promise made and accepted. When they broke apart, Jake kept her close, foreheads touching. "The Federation fleet will learn to respect our choices, one way or another." Together, they interfaced with the quantum network. Above them, orbital platforms, ancient weapons disguised as atmospheric processors, came online for the first time in 3,000 years. The first enemy ships died in silence. "This is Admiral Chen," came a transmission heavy with defeat. "We request immediate ceasefire." Jake's response was broadcast across the entire system. "Tempest Prime claims sovereignty over our world and our storms. In return, we offer safe passage to any who request it peacefully." And if Earth refuses, Vespera's fierce joy pulsed through their shared connection. Then Earth learns what happens when you try to cage a storm. One by one, the fleets withdrew. Federation ships, cartel vessels, all carrying tales of the human who commanded quantum lightning and the warrior queen who had claimed him. Hours later, Jake and Vespera stood on the Storm Spire's highest balcony, watching their world's storms dance across the sky. But now Jake could see their true beauty, not chaotic destruction, but ordered creation. The storms sang with harmonizing frequencies that could terraform new worlds, create safe havens for any who needed them. "What happens now?" Vespera asked, her tail curling around his waist in possession and affection. "Now we rebuild. Not just your world, but the network my ancestors created. There are other lost colonies out there, cut off by ancient war. We can reconnect them. Create something better than either of our species achieved alone." Her claws traced patterns on his chest, marking him as hers in ways deeper than skin. A galactic alliance built on partnership rather than conquest. She laughed, the sound rich with promise. led by a queen who rules through strength and a navigator who reads patterns others can't see. Jake pulled her closer, feeling the storm network respond to their joined presence. Above them, quantum barriers pulsed with new patterns. Not walls keeping intruders out, but beacons calling the lost home. He had fallen into her world by accident. He would stay by choice. And anyone who tried to separate them would learn why the storm sang with such beautiful, terrible power. They were no longer alone in the galaxy. They were the beginning of something new. The end. If you loved Storm Queen's Prize, show some love. Hit that like button, subscribe for more science fiction romance adventures, and share this story with someone who needs a fierce alien warrior queen in their life. Your support helps me create more epic tales of love, war, and cosmic storms. What did you think of Jake and Vespera's story? Comment below. I read every single one. Coming soon, based on your votes, the next chapter in the Storm Queen saga. Follow for updates on new stories featuring badass heroines, impossible romances, and galaxies worth fighting for.